Mm.
Ah, madam, what can I do for you? Certainly. What's your destination? Of course. May I ask where to? I'll send that round right away.
Yo, what you need? You got it, partner.
There's questions that just don't make sense.
In that moment, I felt like she could lie.
Complex emotions with a single glance. But the internet's fascination with Keanu extends far beyond the realm of memes. His off-screen moments, captured by lucky fans and shared across social media, have become the stuff of legend. One such moment occurred when Keanu was spotted casually enjoying an ice cream cone outside a Baskin-Robbins. The image of this Hollywood heavyweight, dressed in a simple black suit and savoring a sweet treat, became an instant sensation. Perhaps one of the most iconic viral moments.
Good evening.
Yeah, I got to show y'all. Got a damn good show. This probably one of the worst traffic stops I've ever seen.
Welcome back to America Right Now. I'm Tom Vasili. He is second in line to the presidency, but Americans are still getting to know him in an era of social media mavens masquerading as members of Congress and loud voices on the political extremes driving much of our policy conversation. He's taking a different approach, bringing a style and a substance to the job, all his own. So how does he view the road ahead for Campaign 24 and beyond? The 56th Speaker of the House of Representatives, Republican Congressman Mike Johnson. Mr. Speaker, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. You're in New York for the second time in 2 weeks, and I don't think a lot of people really appreciate that. So much of your job is outside of Washington. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for having me. It's great to be in the studios. First time here in where all the magic is made. Yes, it's a very complicated job, a very complex set of responsibilities, and to be the speaker in the modern era, you've got to manage quite a bit. So every day that we're not in session, quite literally, I am on the road. We're traveling throughout the country. I think I mentioned before we went live that I think we've been in 136 cities now in over 30 states, doing political events, campaigning with our incumbents and challengers. It's going very, very well. We're very bullish about November. We don't take anything for granted, and we have to run right through the tape, and it takes a lot of effort to get it done.
If I had told you a year ago that this was going to be on your shoulders, all of this travel, raising the money, keeping this conference together, what would you have said to me?
I would have laughed. This was not ever on my bucket list or anything we expected. I was on the leadership team in the House Republican Conference. I was the vice chairman of the House Republicans, the number 6 spot. But I never aspired to be speaker. I never thought I'd ever have the opportunity when everything happened as it did last October. We closed the House down for 3 straight weeks. It was a real dilemma for the country. The Congress can't operate without a Speaker of the House. It's a constitutional position, of course. And it fell to me ultimately to take the gavel, and I do so. I'm very sober-minded about it. We're at very serious times as a nation. We have great challenges ahead of us. But the reason I'm such a happy warrior is I know we have the answers to all these great challenges, and I'm excited. I'm increasingly confident the American people are going to give us control of both chambers of Congress and the White House again, and we'll be able to fix everything.
The open border, top of mind for so many Americans. We've never seen the numbers like this in terms of the concern out there about immigration. So many Americans have asked why over these last 3 years. Why are they doing this? Why the 94 executive orders? You pegged it a couple of years ago. Watch this.
Everybody wants to know at home, why would they allow this? Guys, they're allowing it because they're going to turn them into voters. They already are doing this in New York City, largest city in America, and this is the plan of our friends on this side to turn all the illegals into voters. That's it, folks. That's what's going on. That's the game. That's why the border's open.
The left want Americans to think that that's a conspiracy theory, Mr. Speaker. Tell us why it's not. And you and former President Trump have a plan that is working its way through Congress to try to prevent that from happening.
Yes, that clip went viral because it followed an admission by Jerry Nadler of New York, by the way, who was the chair of the Judiciary Committee at the time, who admitted, yes, we would like to turn them into voters. In New York at that time, they had been allowing illegals to vote in municipal elections, and I documented how that was happening in some deep blue cities around the country. That was the test. Now we know it's true. Now everyone accepts that was not a conspiracy theory. That's what they're trying to do. And they are pushing to register illegals around the country. When the Biden administration opened that border wide, they've allowed in millions of people. I think the actual count is probably 16 million, close to 16 million illegals who have come in the country in the last 3.5 years under this administration. And when they ship them around the country, all at taxpayer expense, by the way, when they get to their destination of choice, they say, go to your local welfare office and sign up for benefits, also taxpayer funded, of course. And then when they're there, there's a separate form that they get. Because of the motor voter registration laws passed in the early 90s, it's very easy to sign up to vote. All you have to do is fill out a 1/2-page form and check a box that says, I'm a U.S. citizen. Here's the great outrage. Under current federal law, states are prohibited from requiring proof of citizenship. This is a serious threat to us. Because let's just say 1 in 100 of the illegals want to sign up and do that, want to lie and say, yeah, I'll participate. He could throw a congressional race. He could potentially throw a presidential election if it's close enough. It's a serious threat. So we are going to pass through the House in the next 2 weeks the SAVE Act, and that will require states to require proof of citizenship and require an audit of their current voter rolls to make sure the illegals are not going to participate. We have to make sure we have a free and fair election. This is a very important part of it. President Trump, of course, is aggressively trying to advocate for that bill. We got to get done.
Yeah, so am I hearing correctly that that's going to come to the floor within the next couple of
Oh, yes, we're going to pass it through the House, and we're going to send it to Chuck Schumer in the Senate. And since we're sitting here in New York, I would encourage everyone to make sure the Senate passes that as well. He's going to be very reluctant to do it for obvious reasons, because this was the game. This is why they opened the borders. They want to change the outcome of the census in 6 years, and they want to affect the election. And I wish that were not true. It pains me to say it, but that's exactly what's going on.
You passed H.R. 2 a couple of years ago now. That's been languishing in the Senate. Chuck Schumer has been advocating for amnesty, for full amnesty for these illegals. We've been hearing about so-called comprehensive immigration reform for a very long time. Is there a thought that it should now be a piecemeal approach where, for instance, the House passes a bill that says you can't resettle illegals in states or cities without the permission of that jurisdiction, and there has to be full transparency, because we've seen how these folks have been spread all over the country by the federal government, and nobody knows where they're going.
Yeah. No, you're asking a very important question. Strategically, I've been in Congress for a little less than 8 years. We worked on comprehensive immigration reform very aggressively, 2018, 2019, put a lot of time into it. I wrote a big portion of the bill. If you remember the terms Goodlatte 1 and Goodlatte 2, named after the chairman of House Judiciary at the time, ultimately we failed by a few votes.
Hey, partner.
It needs to be done.
Yeah, player. We'll get it to you.
November. I believe Republicans will be in charge of the Senate and the House. The question is, will our margins be large enough to do one big comprehensive immigration reform package, or do we need to do it piecemeal like that? We must have change, and we must have it quickly and aggressively. We're going to push that. In terms of what the final playbook looks like, it has a lot to do with the size of our margins, to be honest. So we'll see how that shakes out.
All right, let's talk about the economy and inflation. Inflation has cost the average American cumulatively over the last 3 years over $10,000. Do you believe that additional tax reform and additional tax cuts should be on the table next year to try to provide families with relief? We saw what happened with the 2017 tax cut. 70% of Americans got a tax cut. The economy took off. Is that something that is in your calculus as you're projecting ahead to next year?
Not only in our calculus, but in the part of our first 100 days agenda, which will be very aggressive right out of the blocks. We can't waste time. Here's the reality. If we do not extend those tax cuts from the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, they'll expire in 2025. You'll see the largest tax increase in the American people in the history of the country. So we have to get to work on that. You got to cut taxes, but cut spending as well. Because we're on a trajectory. That's the hard part. But I think also regulatory reform is going to be a big part of that. President Trump talked about that in the debate this week, and because that is what spurs on the economy. We have to have a pro-growth strategy to get the economy going again. We know how to do it. We'll do it just like we did after the first 2 years of the Trump administration. We had the greatest economy in the history of the world at that time because we implemented those strategies. We're anxious to do it again.
And I'm anxious to let them do it again. It's just on us to let them get it done. But it still rock like this. Allowing fucking criminals to run our fucking business in the shitter. And for those of you who don't know, the United States of America is a business. It's a corporation. This is really our business. For the people, by the people. But we ain't running shit. We got some elite assholes front running with these other assholes, the Democrat rats and the Republican clowns. They running our shit. They robbing the shit out of us too. And there ain't shit we can do about it. That's the fucked up part for me. I don't like this shit. Watching what's happening, but can't do nothing about it. I'm just saying. I'm Mr. Glass, 48. Shit ain't no game. We gotta wake up, realizing that we're being lied to and played at the same time.